Go.
Let's go for it then. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to Mind House episode 149. Getting close to 150. It's good, bro. It's good. How are you doing? How are you feeling?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good. I've just cooked myself some fish, some red mullet. Oh,
Yourself. Just for yourself.
yeah. I offered, nobody else wanted to eat the fish.
Are you like the non-picky one in the family or?
No, I'm not picky at all, but at the moment, I'm back on the ketogenic diet. I've been on that
Yeah.
for about 2 or 3 weeks.
Okay.
Um, we can speak a bit about that because we spoke about that, didn't we?
I
We
actually
spoke.
that was actually my topic. I've
Oh,
got
funny.
I've got a mixture, not keto, but I've got a mixture of health related topics. So that can be definitely one of them. So you're on keto with the aim of losing weight.
Yeah, so I did it a while ago, didn't I? Maybe 2018.
Yeah.
Anyone following me back then? Sorry, I'm just adjusting all this because I didn't really set up. Um, I think it was around 2018, and let me see. Like I used to have on my notes like my body weight and stuff like that, just to keep track of it.
Yeah.
If I just put kg into my notes, it should come up. Yeah, here we go.
Hmm.
So 2018. So I went July, August, September. It's 3 months. Wow. So I started at a 94. Well, let's just call it 95. Let's call a spade a spade. 95 kg. 3 months later,
How
85
tall
kg.
are you?
I'm 5'10.
Oh,
5'10.
so 95's heavy.
Yeah, bro. Yeah, 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 yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not, I'm not gonna be nice about it, bro. That's heavy, isn't it?
There's a lot of muscle under there, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, yeah.
No, but
No, but
I
I
mean,
always thought you were closer to 6 foot.
yeah, I remember my doctor said the same thing, to be honest. But I do know that, I mean, I've been weight training for years and years on and off.
Yes.
So I'm not saying, I'm not trying to big myself up, whatever. But there is a proportion of muscle there. I know that for sure.
So
Um,
your healthy weight is probably 80 or 83, like that,
Well,
something like that.
this is it. So, like on those 3 months of keto that I
Mm.
did, um, I lost 10 kilos,
Yeah.
which is a lot. Um, now, um, I've done it again because what happened is I started really. If you remember, like the Apple Watch episodes I mentioned back in April, I think that's when I got the Apple Watch or something like that. I really
Mm.
started monitoring my health and calorie counting and running around and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And that was quite good, and I was quite consistent with that. And then I think life just got very hectic. I'll be honest, and like, especially like on the run up to like dad getting really ill, um, and then obviously him passing away. I kind of fell off everything. Then I just
Hmm.
didn't have the time or energy or whatever. But literally, it must have been just after my father passed away. Um, Yeah, because I went to the embassy. So I remember that week after my dad passed away is when I started keto. He passed away on Friday. I think I went to the embassy on a Tuesday, so it must have been that day. Sorry, charger underneath. Oh, all right. Sorry,
Mm, go
sorry.
for
I
it.
don't know where I was. Yeah, yeah. So that's when I started, and I don't really know how much I've lost. Essentially, I know that I basically put a lot of weight back on during that period. But now I am back to the lightest I was when I started, which isn't, I mean, it's still quite high. It's in the 95 range again. However, it's the start and it does a lot. I
What's
mean,
your healthy weight?
it's hard to know because I'm going to say it's probably around 75, 80,
More
or
like 80,
75,
you know?
85.
Like, you said you're 5'10", which is like 180 centimeters, 178. No, no, it must be more like 180 something, 180
I could do a quick BMI. Let's do it. Let's put
BMI.
myself on the spotlight, everyone.
Hmm. Do you
Uh,
believe in BMI? Because, some people
no, I
say
don't.
like it doesn't take into account the fat versus muscle kind of
I think the
thing.
issue I have is I'm not trying to say I'm really muscular. I'm not.
Yeah.
Although
So you
I
might have
might
a
not know.
higher BMI, but it's not necessarily unhealthy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, look, I'm 28. There we
BMI
go.
being
Male,
body mass index.
Middle Eastern. Should we go for Middle Eastern? I guess maybe that's the closest. Am I moderate? I don't even think I'm that active anymore. Let's go.
Also, there's a calculator that takes more than just your height and weight.
Mm. It has an optional thing.
Okay.
Oh, this one isn't. Oh yeah. So apparently my healthy weight is 58 to 79,
That's a
which I wouldn't
big
agree with.
range.
No, I wouldn't agree with that. If I was 60, I would be ridiculously slim.
Yeah,
You know.
unhealthy. Yeah.
Yeah. I only say that because I know people that are my height and are 60, and they don't look very healthy. You know.
Okay, so you're
Uh,
like 178 centimeters. So yeah, so you should be like 80 kilos, right?
yeah. And I remember being, I remember my quote unquote prime. It
Yeah.
was when I was at college. Was probably 75. You
Yeah.
know. Anyway,
I think now you could be 80, and if you are like extra muscly, you could be 85 and still be healthy.
well, this is it. So like when I did keto back then, and I lost that weight down to 85. There's photos. I've got photos on my phone of that time, and I looked good, man. I looked okay. I was on my way. I wasn't finished with keto. I don't remember what happened. I think one day my wife tempted me with a Kinder Bueno, begging me to break my keto because she was getting bored of eating on her own, and I was just like, fine. And then that was kind of it. That was it. But what does fascinate me about this time round is my appetite, bro. It's just, at least in this, I don't know if it's going to be like this in the long run. But I was trying to basically combine keto with intermittent fasting, right?
Yeah.
And I wasn't too hell bent on like or I wasn't too fixated on intermittent fasting. I was like, well, if I can, I will. If it doesn't matter if I don't.
Yeah.
But I thought, okay, I'll just start eating at 1 o'clock anyway, and we'll see what happens. And I'll have I'll eat at 1 o'clock. I mean, I ate a bit late today. It's 5:30 now. I started eating at maybe 4. Because I just didn't have time. I wanted to cook. And that's another, byproduct is that it's forcing me to cook everything because I can't really buy stuff ready made. I have to kind of cook, which is great. I've loved it. I've loved every second of it because I've been trying to avoid all the processed stuff, etc. And I'll eat at 1 o'clock. And I don't know if it's because of sugar, because of insulin, because of all these factors that make you crave and make you hungry. I'll eat and I'll be fine for like hours and hours and hours. And it will get to like 10, 11 p.m. And I'm like, I could eat something. I'm not really super hungry. If someone put a plate of food around me, I'd eat it. But I'm not like, oh, I'm starving. I could go to bed right now, and I'll go to bed, and I won't eat again until 1 o'clock the next day. Sometimes I'll have 2 meals a day. Sometimes, like yesterday, I think I did. But every time I have 2 meals, I regret it not because I'm like, oh, I've ruined my diet. I haven't. I'm still way under.
Yeah.
I know that I am. But I just feel a bit too much, like I'm eating too much.
You forced too much food into a small time, kind of thing. Yeah.
Like half of the meal would have been fine instead of the whole thing.
Yeah.
But even the meals I am having, I mean, think about it. Like now, today I wanted to buy some fish, so I went to the fishmongers and bought fish. And this is like a classic thing my dad would do. And my dad loved fish, so I'm really actively trying to like keep that alive, because I didn't really do it independently without him, So I cooked some mackerel the other day. Today I got some red mullet, and I thought I want to cook that. And I just did the seasonings, etc. Stuck it on a oven thing. I don't know the words. A bit of tomatoes, just tomatoes on the vine. That was it. I stuck it in the oven. Came out perfect, absolutely delicious. And I ate the whole fish, and it wasn't that big. It's just a standard fish. And now I literally just finished that before we jumped on. Alhamdulillah. And I was like, oh, I'm good. I don't need anything else. I don't need bread. I don't need. Honestly, like it's transformative what it does to the way you eat. That's the main benefit I've seen so far, and it's only been like 2 or 3 weeks. 3 weeks, really. Yeah. The appetite thing is just phenomenal because I've realized, wow, I don't have this craving to eat all the time. Whilst, I could have a big breakfast, with a croissant or one of those sugar pastries and a coffee, and then lunchtime I'm hungry, so I'll have some rice and chicken and whatever and this, and then dinner time I'm hungry, and then in between dinner and lunch I've probably eaten something, or if I've had an early dinner I'll end up eating something at night. And it's like, how can my body or my mind go from all of that normally to not even actively, just subconsciously eating 1 meal a day? Do you understand what I mean? It's crazy.
Yeah.
So when there is people talking about insulin and talking about sugar and talking about carbs and how processed food can make you even more hungry, I definitely feel like there's what's the word? There's truth to that. But some people say that what I'm going through isn't long term, and eventually we'll start getting hungry. But for the past week, it's been.
Are you like very strict with it? Like, 10 to 20 grams of carbs a day, no more kind of
Yeah,
thing.
I do sort of. The thing is, because most of the time, 90% of the time, I'm having one meal.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not scared of. I'm not like meticulously counting. I'll just make sure that I'm not having something that I know has carbs in it, like a loaf of bread. When it comes to veg, a lot of leafy greens, asparagus, that kind of stuff is
Yeah.
always, you're fine with that. Other stuff that you might have to be careful with is like mushrooms, tomatoes, certain peppers.
Yeah. If
But
you eat
even that,
enough of that,
if
it
you eat
will.
enough,
Yeah.
and if I was to eat enough, I'd have to eat loads,
Probably, yeah, yeah.
literally loads,
Okay. So you're
across
not
multiple
like down
meals.
to the gram kind of
I
calculating.
don't. I
Do
just don't
you
feel like I
measure
need to.
your, blood ketones?
No, I did the first time I did it.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to, but do you know what? I feel like I don't. At this stage, whether I'm not in ketosis doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Only because I can tell that it's working because my appetite is so low. You understand
Okay,
what I
yeah.
mean?
Because what I was saying is, what I was guessing is, or thinking is that maybe your appetite's gone because your body is now in ketosis and it's not craving those, carbs basically.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. This is
it's
it.
satisfying itself with the fat you're giving it basically.
Yeah, and I know that, to be honest, like the high fat nature of the diet, I know that I'm probably not hitting the high number of fats
High
I'm meant
enough
to.
fat, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because it is a bit harder to do that.
Yeah, bro,
Like
how do you actually do that? It's like supposed to be 70% fat. Is
exactly.
that
Like
just
when I
like
saw that,
spoons of olive oil or?
this is it. When I saw 70%, I was like, that's pretty impossible. And I'm not going to just have avocados every single day with every single meal. I'll have a few. Maybe I'll have like 3 a week or something like that. I don't personally. I know it's really like I don't know, a hippie thing to say, but like I get that avocados are like from the other side of the world and they're not necessarily that easy to bring over to the UK. And
And they
I
drink a
don't,
ton of water as well.
yeah, and I don't necessarily agree with like I don't like to do things that aren't sustainable for the
Yeah,
vast majority of people to do. So
yeah.
like if I said, oh yeah, everyone should do keto and everyone should eat avocados for every meal, that's not sustainable. So I wouldn't expect. I like to try and do something that everyone anywhere can do, and that's what I would like to promote. If the world did it, if the whole world turned to do this one thing tomorrow, then nothing
Yeah,
bad would happen.
yeah, yeah.
Essentially,
I mean, I
um,
do keto diet. Yeah, is not for everyone, and it shouldn't be. I don't think. Yeah, after thinking about this, I will say it's not for a long term thing. Definitely, it's not balanced, right? It's not. It's too extreme. It's actually very extreme. You can do it for cycles during the year. You can
yeah,
do it for intense time of when you want to lose weight. But to say I'm going to be on keto for the rest of my life, that's just not the way Allah created us. I don't think. The
I
same
think what I
goes
like
with.
about it.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say what the benefit for doing it is. It's very, very difficult to go to the shop. You'll be in the shop, pick up something, and say, "Oh yeah, I'll have that." You just can't. Everything you pick up, more or
It's very
less,
straight. Yeah.
yeah. Even like those. I mean, obviously you've been in the UK. Those like not ready meals. What they called it, like
Yeah.
meal
Yeah.
deals. Just
Oh, okay.
a sandwich, a drink, and it's really difficult. So the only thing you can grab from there is like either a pack of olives or
It's like you
maybe
can
those
get hummus, but what
prawns.
do you eat the hummus with?
Yeah, and I remember once
You
I
need
was
celery
driving.
sticks.
I was driving back from the embassy that day. All I had was a Americano, like black coffee, no sugar, which I tend to have anyway. And I was like, you know what? It's getting like Maghrib time. I still haven't eaten. And I went into like one of those service stations, and all I could find was like a pack of olives and the prawn. Like you could get a pack of prawns and you
Yeah.
dip in like, this mayonnaise. I was like, yeah, I'll have that. That's fine. And I was fine after I had that. I was like, oh, that's all I needed. you know. Um, yeah. Ultimately, it's the detachment from food. Detachment from processed food, especially, and the big emphasis on, well, I've got no choice. I need to cook something. Even if it's a salad, like, if I'm really stuck, I'll get some lettuce and bits for a salad, either some tuna or some other sort of. You can get smoked mackerel. You can get anything really. Throw it in there, a bit of olive oil, a bit of mayo, and you're good to go. But it does make you start thinking of food as fuel a bit more, and
Yes.
and I'm sure, bro. Ultimately, yeah. Listen, we're very cancer conscious, aren't we? And not that I'm, on the one hand, I want to tie my camel. On the other hand, if Allah decrees cancer for me, then Allah's decreed cancer for me, right? But it would be really kind of, you'd feel gutted you got sick with something that it was out of your own kind of, it was out of your own ignorance, or out of your, not ignorance, out of your own laziness and out of your own self-destruction, that you've caused yourself this. It's like people who have liver problems from alcoholism, or lung
Diabetes,
cancer from
Mm.
smoking, yeah, stuff like that. And I'd feel like an idiot because I had control over this body that isn't a manna at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And I know we all say that, but do we all believe it? Like, do we all feel it deep down? And I'm giving advice to myself in that regard. But yeah, it's just nice, bro. Being able to just go in the kitchen, quickly whip something up. And because you're only doing one meal a day, really, not because I'm telling people to do one meal a day, I'm just saying at that point in your keto journey, you don't get that hungry.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, oh yeah, I should probably have a meal now. Let me see what I can cook. But yeah, alhamdulillah, I don't think I'll eat for until tomorrow, really. But sorry, I cut you off. What were you saying?
I can't remember, but I want to explain for people that don't know, maybe, that the keto diet is a high fat diet. So like 70, even to 80% of the calories you consume should be fat. And then I think it's like 20% would be protein. And then like I think some people say even 10% carbs, right? But basically between 10 to 30 grams a day of carbs. So it's like that amount of carbs is like, what is that? Like 20 grams of carbs might be, I don't know. But if you just had like a few nuts and some milk in your coffee and a few vegetables, it might even add up. That stuff might add up to like 10 grams, 15 grams, right?
I'll have a little Google. Let's have a look.
Yeah.
Okay, so 20 grams of carbs is like a small slice of toast, one potato.
One potato is only 20 grams of carbs, yeah?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of water in it, isn't there? So if you were to drain it all.
Yes.
And then you've got a kind of small handful of spaghetti.
Yeah, and you can only have that in one day.
Oh, we've got screen share, haven't we? Let me just, because I want to show you the... There we go, where's the tab? Can you see that? Are we good to go?
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah. So you've got this, 20 grams, which is, you're not going to say...
Well, is that a little thing of rice, yeah, in the bottom left? Yeah.
Oh, that's what it is. Yeah, I couldn't see what that was. I was trying to figure out what that was.
Yeah.
And then down here, you've got the equivalent in veg.
Okay, right. Yeah. Wow, so that's a lot of raspberries and blueberries.
Yeah.
To reach 20 grams of carbs.
When I first did keto, I wasn't too clued up on this, so I might have had half of this, every now and again, and I'll put that in some yogurt or something.
Yes.
But like, look how much spinach you need. Look how much, and I'm quite generous. I go for the 50 mark, but I don't think I even ever hit 20 or 15.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even eat this. I wouldn't even bother with that. The courgette, tomatoes a few, and then peppers, maybe one pepper and half of the spinach or any leafy greens, and you're good to go. And this is 50, yeah. So this is more like it, and even that is actually more.
That's
than
a lot, bro. That looks like a lot.
That does look like not all of this together.
Yeah, I know. One of those, yeah.
Yeah,
like
but
three slices of toast, 3 smallish potatoes. That looks like a whole meal of spaghetti, actually.
Yeah, and then compare it to this much.
Yeah, and then when it comes to vegetables, yeah.
I mean, if you just look at the difference, like if you were to have 3 slices of toast, or actually, let's go rice, because we all eat rice. Middle Easterns, Arabs, Asians, everybody, really. Every dish you can get it with rice, and you'll eat way more rice than that. I know I certainly do.
Bro, rice is killer, man.
Yeah, absolutely. But like, if you were to put this plate in front of me with all this veg, I'd be like, yo, that's a bit much. Can you eat half? Like, that's 2 courgettes in there, bro.
Yeah. That's the whole. That's the whole point, though, right?
Yeah.
The whole point is that we eat loads of carbs because it's easy to eat loads of carbs, right?
But it's so readily available. That's the other issue. Like, everything you eat, like, think of every single meal you have. Surely you are always loading it up with carbs, right?
Yeah.
Surely.
Yeah.
Where am I? Where are you? I can see myself, but I can't see you. Oh, there we go.
There we go. Yeah. So the keto diet is quite strict, but But yeah, bro. What was I gonna say? Yeah, so the diet is very high fat, and so like to get that much fat, you're gonna need to. I know what a lot of people do is they have the bulletproof coffee where they'll mix. They'll mix butter or like coconut oil or MCT oil into coffee. So they're drinking the fat in that way, getting fat in that way. Then avocados are high in fat, of course. By the way, avocados, yeah, when you actually think about it, it doesn't taste nice at all. You've got to, like on its own, it tastes horrible. But if you add like some good amount of salt, pepper, maybe add some, diced onions, tomatoes, peppers, something like that. Guacamole basically is good. Yeah, I've got to say it's pretty good. But on its own, it's actually horrible. I don't know how it became fashionable. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, what I will tend to do is like fry it, but like so it's almost like seared on each side.
Whoa! I never tried that actually, like cooked or warm avocado.
Because it's almost like it's nice. It's got a weird texture where it's like kind of crispy on the outside, but it's obviously soft on the inside.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah.
Experiment, man.
Yeah. But I think I was looking this up, right? So I pulled this up. The number, like the top 3 causes of death. This is for the US. The top 3 is heart disease, number 1, cancer, number 2, and then I think number 3 is, I don't know, it said COVID-19, but we all know that's fake, right? Unintentional injuries seems to be number 3. Okay.
Really?
So
heart disease.
Diabetes is like, it's like probably 7th, 8th kind of thing. So anyway, heart disease, cancer, like heart disease, like a lot of it, I guess a decent amount of that is genetic, but also it's what we eat as well, right? It's what we eat and our activity and stuff like that. Cancer, this is one thing I wanted to discuss, is that cancer is actually quite linked to what you eat. And it's hard to actually, and it hasn't been proved in a very, very clear way. But I've been looking into the research of this guy, Thomas Seyfried, and he's got a book called something like the metabolic theory of cancer or something like that. And basically his thing is that cancer comes about, or it's able to grow, it's allowed to grow, it's facilitated to grow when you give it glucose, which is sugar, right? And glutamine. Both of these elements, compounds, whatever, come from food, from what we eat. And so obviously the glutamine is something I don't know too much about. Apparently it's something that's in most foods or a lot of foods, and so it's kind of hard to decrease your intake of that. But the glucose is something that just comes in full force when you're having carbs, like a lot of carbs. And so, like, again, I don't believe keto is a normal balanced diet, but the amount of carbs we eat normally is not balanced either, right? So like if I think about it, if I have my wife makes really good biryani, if I have a plate of biryani, like I always say when we're having biryani, like let's get the shovels out, get the spades out, because that's kind of what it's like. And I've been thinking about something recently, like when I've got a plate of biryani, I can eat a lot of that, and I almost don't need to chew much. I'm just shoveling. And then when I'm eating salad, it actually takes a lot more effort and a lot more time to actually eat it, right? You've got to crunch. You've got to crunch through, like, especially if you have something like cabbage in there, some raw carrots in there, like you're crunching and you're putting effort. And for somebody who hasn't eaten like food like that for a while, they'll actually feel their jaw having to work hard to chew through it. A lot of our diet is just soft stuff, right? Like spaghetti is soft, right? With the sauce that's soft. No salads a lot of the time. So not much do we chew through, right? Even a lot of the meat we eat is boneless meat, right? So there's not much like nibbling around edges. It's just like, okay, I get the chicken breast, I pretty much swallow it without chewing, which is obviously not good for us. So when I'm eating, because I try and have salad every day for lunch, so that's kind of at least one meal where there's no carbs coming in, and I'm just like, it takes a while. Like when I have a good sized salad, I'm like crunching through it. You put effort, and it takes a lot of time. So what I was saying about the rice or the spaghetti, these things, you can just like eat a large quantity of it so easily, and that's what's causing our intake of carbohydrates and therefore sugars to just be so high. And then obviously you get the desserts and these things. It makes it even worse. So it's just that's also unbalanced, Yanni. That's what I was saying.
This is it. And like, if you look at like all the carbs that you are having, I don't know much about rice, but everything else is like it's all shop bought. Nothing is like made at home. Nothing is grown. You know, it all has to be put into a particular, like even sliced bread, which we take for granted, is super processed only because it has to. I mean, it's got preservatives in it. That's why it lasts so much longer than homemade bread.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, and I know North Africans at least. I don't know about the rest of the world, but we're always having bread with everything. I know family members that
bread
have,
with
like,
bread.
Yeah, bread with bread, bread with Coke. I remember there were some people I knew that had bread with Coca-Cola because why not?
You just can't have something without bread. Bread
absolutely.
with cakes. Bread with bro. This is. I mean, maybe you find this normal, yeah, but for people might find this crazy, yeah. Bread with spaghetti, like definitely, absolutely.
So when I went to Algeria,
yeah.
No disrespect to anyone, but this was weird to me. But they made, homemade chips, which everybody makes, which is fine.
Yeah.
They had that, and then on the side, it was like a split plate, portion of chips, portion of spaghetti. You get that? And I was like, spaghetti and chips? This is strange. But that was like a plate full of carbs. Like, that's all that was.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Reminds me of my friend, do you know Chili's, the restaurant?
Yeah. I've heard of it.
Yeah, American, I guess. But we have it in UAE and stuff. So Chili's, we go. Used to go in Dubai with my friend to Chili's, and you order something and you get two sides, like Nando's, whatever. Yeah. So they're like, what sides would you like? they've got the beans, the chili, kind of con carne, the salad, chips, rice, corn on the all kind. Yeah. He's like, I'll have both sides, chips, please. And he always says that, and I always laugh at him because of that.
No, absolutely.
Carbs on carbs, yeah.
Absolutely. I think the sugar thing is really key as well. Like, how much sugar would you would have had in the old days? Maybe not too much.
Yeah, but also you need the sugar for the energy output that you're using throughout the day, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I guess so. But like
that's why we can't go around saying like potatoes are bad and bread is bad and this and that. It's good. It's needed, right? But it's needed in proportion to your energy output for the day, kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I would. My plan is to do this maybe for 3 months, see how I feel. If 3 months I'm still, I'm still comfortable and confident I could keep going, I might try and go for 6 months just to see. And then, after 6 months, I would like to, because food isn't just about health and about your body and yourself. It's also a very social experience. It's a bonding experience. It's something shared with family.
Yeah.
And there's only so many times I can go to a family's house or a friend's house and be like, oh, no, I'm not having that. Or no. And it is awkward, A lot of people in my family are very aware that I'm always doing something weird, So I always, even though like
I might not look it for that.
I might not look it, but there are people in my family that always make a joke every time I come and visit. So like, oh, you're doing one of your do you know what I mean? So but that's fine. I'm glad that they know me for that. But at the same time, I like it. It's a tested discipline. I don't feel like I'm struggling at all. In fact, I'm really enjoying it only because it's getting me to think creatively about what I want to have. There are some times where I eat something, I'll make something that I'm not too fond of. When I was in London a few days ago, I reluctantly bought some of those Turkish sausages that they have in Turkey. I used to have those a lot. I made some the other day. Every time I have them, I do feel really kind of bad after eating them because that is probably the most processed of processed. Like, how much worse can you get? So I am gonna.
It is delicious.
It is delicious, and maybe in moderation. But I think the amount I have is really bad. But stuff like that, like it's just I'm really glad that I can look at a plate and I know everything that's in each of that. Now I'm not saying, and we could go on forever about like pesticides and modern day farming and fruit and veg and all of that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's so many negatives. Even we can talk about meat as well and how meat is farmed and how meat is processed. We can also talk about fish and like plastic in the ocean and farmed fish and all the stuff that comes with that. However, I think a good and positive first step is to avoid processed foods, to avoid chocolate bars, to avoid you know, processed stuff that you can look at and be like, okay, how many machines has that been through, and how many extra
Yeah.
stuff has it gone through
I
just to get
remember
on my plate?
having this discussion with a doctor friend of mine, and he was saying like we were talking about this kind of topic, but we were saying natural. It's natural. It's not natural. He's like, look, everything is natural. If it's not natural, how we got it? Like even paracetamol pill is natural. It comes from natural stuff. Far down the line. So he's like, you don't know what you're talking about, basically. And from that conversation, I came to a conclusion, like what you're saying, like the actual issue seems to be processed stuff, or highly processed. Because like first, to understand process, we have to know what is processed. Like even when you take a cucumber, for example, you wash it and you cut it up, that's processing it. That's a part. Cutting something up is processing. So it's about how much you're processing. The bread that you buy in the shop, the white bread, that's been processed quite a bit because they've stripped away all the fiber, the bran on the outer side of the wheat, and that's how it's white and not brown, right? And because they stripped away the bran, and so that's processed even more than the cucumber example. And so it's like, and then you got the sujuk, which is processed even further, where it's mashed up with who knows what else and blah blah blah. Probably got different preservatives and bleaches and blah 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 in it.
That's it. Yeah. That's the stuff.
So the stuff that, I mean, ultimately, I can't tell you with conviction, like processed equals this kind of disease, but it just seems to have that kind of link. And especially there have been, I don't know if conclusive like research on it, but it's like if something is mad processed, like, these sausages kind of thing, then it can be carcinogenic, or I don't know to what degree they've proven that, but that does seem like something to avoid. Yeah.
And that is a pitfall of maybe keto for certain people, is that you can do it really in an unhealthy
dirty
way. Yeah. You could have like turkey bacon and processed meats and everything smoked and everything this and that, and just go heavy on the meat and heavy on that kind of side of things. And suddenly your cholesterol's through the roof, or you've got like you mentioned just now about carcinogens. I've noticed that if I go to Tesco's, for example, or any other supermarket to buy like a fillet of mackerel, which is what I like, it's always smoked. And as much as I love smoked foods, smoked salmon, smoked mackerel, it tastes really good. I'm also aware, like, but the smoked stuff, if you have too much of it can be really bad.
Yes.
So I'm like, well, I just want, which is why I'm now even more leaning to like, I'm going to go to the fishmongers and do it myself, or I'm going to go, somewhere I can just grab the fish whole and sort it out myself, right? And because, like I said, because your appetite's so low, you can plan a meal way in advance. You don't have to think, okay, what am I gonna have for breakfast? All right, what am I gonna have for lunch? Okay, what am I gonna have for dinner? Right, you've got one meal. You can literally have it any time in the day because you're really not that hungry. You have symptoms of hunger before you feel the hunger. Like the other day, I had a headache all day, not all day, like at night. My thing's going, isn't it? My dishwasher's really loud. I heard it in an episode. Yeah, the other day I heard it in an episode when I was replaying, and I was like, oh god. Sorry, what was I saying?
Yeah, you got a headache.
Yeah, I had a headache at night, and I was like, why have I got this headache? And then I realized, I haven't eaten anything yet. I haven't eaten anything in over 24 hours.
Wow.
So it's like your body's giving you symptoms of not having the energy, but not giving you that, like, I need to eat, and I'm going to go and raid the kitchen. Oh, there's a cake here, and there's some biscuits and some crisps, and all of that stuff. You're not eating. You just can't touch it. The first 3 days.
Bro. That is crazy. That's maybe like because, it sounds like, I don't know, but it sounds like you're on ketosis and your body's just like happy to take the energy from your fat stores kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I feel like it's funny because I think even if you took a look at intermittent fasting, I think similarly you'll find the benefit, because that is kind of what's going on here, right? And the reason why I find that interesting is because when I was like 75 kg, whatever, back when I was at school, I wouldn't have breakfast. I just wouldn't. And then I wouldn't really have lunch either. I sort of eat at like 3-4 p.m. after school, or maybe 4-5 p.m. And that would kind of be my meal. And I didn't realize that actually subconsciously I was just basically having one meal a day. I'd get home from school, I'd have dinner, maybe have something else afterwards, like later on. it wouldn't be like a full meal, and then I go to bed. And walking to school was 30 minutes, walking back was 30 minutes, so an hour walk a day.
That's
And
pretty much like 10,000 steps. Yeah.
there you go. And just trying to put yourself, obviously the body's changed. I'm 28 now. I was in my teens, early teens back then, so I'm sure there's metabolism stuff you could talk about. I'm in no way an expert about all this stuff. I'm just picking up things I've seen on YouTube and stuff like that. But obviously everybody knows their own body in particular ways. Keto doesn't work for a lot of people. I know it definitely works for me. I've done it before, and I was like, wow, this is. And I always used to think it might be like a genetic thing because North Africans love bread and always eat bread with everything. And you get rid of bread, and suddenly what happens to a North African? Well, they're going to have to go into some sort of, I don't know, superpower weight loss mode or something like that.
I think honestly, I would, like you said, the fish and the tomatoes in the oven. Like I would struggle with that. I think. I mean, obviously, I've never been in ketosis, so I don't know. But like my metabolism, I think, is very fast, and I need to eat a lot more than just that.
I don't know. You'd be surprised. But then again, you don't strike me as somebody that needs to. But I think you should try it just for a couple of weeks, maybe, only so that you can see what your life is like without sugar. And actually, you'll realize then, because it's not just the carbs. You could pick up something from the shop, and it will say like carbohydrates, 10 grams, right? Alhamdulillah.
Hamakallah.
You could pick it up and say carbohydrates 10 grams, and then it will say underneath of which sugars, and it will show you how much of that is sugar. And a lot of the time, it's just the whole thing. It was like 10 grams carbohydrates, 9 grams sugars.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, this has so much sugar. You get like a iced coffee in a can from Co-op or whatever. This is what I always used to do. Always grab an iced coffee full of sugar in the back. Any sort of fizzy drink full of sugar in the back. Anything, cakes and whatever, or crisps, or anything you can think of. Sugar everywhere all the time. And I think that's basically what's wrecking me. I think that's what it is, because I think that has something to do with hunger. And insulin levels and all of that.
Yeah, and it's also, it's what you're saying, but I have a theory as well that it's to do with stimulation. Yeah. So it's like when like that home cooked food, that home type of food, the lubia, the this, the that.
Yeah.
When you stop eating that and you're more eating the saltier kind of umami, kind of tastier food, you just really get used to that, and you're not stimulated enough by the normal kind of home cooked food, and so you keep going back to that, and I guess your body starts craving that then.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a thing they have here in Turkey. So I just ate it today. Actually, I was at the mall today, and there's a big food court, and actually a couple of the restaurants there, they're this type. I don't know what it's called, but it's a type of restaurant or style of restaurant in Turkey where they've got like it's kind of like buffet, but all the food is home cooked type of food. It's different stews and these kind of things. And you just tell the guy, okay, want some of that, some of that, some of that, and he just gives you a small plate of each thing, and it's, you pay per plate kind of thing, per serving, and it's like in a mall, like a modern mall, you've got your KFC, you've got the this, and you've got that as well, and it's popular, mashallah. And like out of all the options, like I ended up going to that, and it's good, bro. Like
Yeah, I mean, if you look, there's so many videos online about how, when I say Western diets, I'm talking about like capitalism diets. I'm talking about like the McDonald's, KFC, Burger King sort of diets, and then everything that comes along with that, like Walker's crisps and Mars chocolate bars and all this sort of stuff. When that makes its way into societies that necessarily didn't have that, the obesity levels go through the roof, right? Dude, I remember being in Tunisia, and when I lived in Tunisia, it was, out in the villages, so very far out from the capital. Packet of crisps and a chocolate bar didn't exist. The closest thing you could get to a chocolate bar, I kid you not, bro, because I remember craving that stuff initially when I moved there, and I couldn't get it unless I drove to the capital. And if we went to the capital, that's when I knew it was a special day, because I was going to get a packet of crisps and a chocolate bar, right? But yeah, the closest thing you could get was like, the wafers. You could get like a wafer with a lining of chocolate inside it. Yeah, that's it. So that's like the cheap man's option, because they can't afford to get chocolate on there. And bro, like people weren't necessarily. I mean, the sugar issue wasn't an issue for me then, because you wouldn't really have it. And because I knew the taste of chocolate, I wasn't really into like all those sort of, I don't know what you'd call them, like the biscuit kind of stuff that they make, homemade stuff, or whether it's baklava or similar things like that. So yeah, I think that's quite interesting. But it does show you actually. I know a lot of people don't listen to that Dr. Berg guy, but he does have some great videos where he was talking about the Middle East and the kind of you saw that one. That one went viral in the Arab world, and then I realized he's got like an Arabic channel where it's all subtitled in Arabic and stuff.
Wait,
or
so
somebody does it for him.
What do people critique that guy from? By the way, he's like some doctor YouTuber kind of guy, right? And he's very pro keto.
Well,
what's the critique?
Hamza's on the podcast before, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Our resident doctor who we'll now go to for this kind of stuff. So listen to that episode if you haven't already with Dr. Hamza, but. He obviously pointed out that he's not a real doctor; he's a chiropractor, which is I thought so anyway.
Oh, is that true?
Yeah.
Damn.
He is a chiropractor. He's also like a raging Scientologist,
okay.
which I don't really know too much about that, but that's just something that people had contention with. And because of the fact that he's not an actually medical doctor or whatever, they're saying a lot of it is pseudoscience and blah blah blah. But saying that. I think I think there's also something to be said for food is kind of universal, health is kind of universal. Maybe if you get into specifics of saying don't do this because this causes that, don't do this because this causes cancer. That can be a bit without evidence.
Like for example, in that exact video where he said why is cancer lower, the rates of cancer is lower in the Muslim world. One reason was he said in Muslim countries they eat a lot of spices. Yes. Yeah. Now, a lot of people, they say turmeric is kind of protects you against cancer, but I don't know if that's like proven for sure. So those kind of things. But I'm actually cool with that. Like, I won't hang my hat on it in terms of like, I'll like fully like rely on that for some sort of treatment. But I will like take that into account.
I mean, his main thing was like, they fast 30 days a year. Right, and that's but
that's like very correlational, isn't it? It's not like we don't know if the fasting 30 days it helps us or not. Really.
Yeah. I mean, my opinion of it is that I don't think most of us fast the way we should anyway.
Yes. Yes.
So I wouldn't draw any sort of benefits out of us fasting from that. I know I certainly didn't for a lot of the time. You fast all day and then you think, I'll have one meal. And then I'm going to go pray Tarawih, I'm going to go to bed. And then maybe I'll get up for suhoor and have something light. And that's like the true fasting sort of method, right? But we don't do that. We just gorge ourselves. And then after Tarawih, we gorge on ourselves. And then we wake up and we gorge ourselves. And that's why like we haven't achieved anything.
Bro, you end up, like by day 3 of Ramadan, your plan's out the window and you're just breaking your fast with those dumplings that are soaked in syrup. Boom!
Absolutely,
Boom.
Absolutely.
But I want to tell you, actually, like we can go back and forth with all these different topics. So you're talking about the sugar and the sweet stuff, right? And you said, might be worth me trying keto and stuff. What I was thinking of doing is a combination of two things. So we kind of have this rule already when family were visiting, kind of went out the window a little bit, but we have a rule where we don't buy sweet stuff from outside. Right. So any chocolate bars or anything we don't bring it from outside and bring it into the house to eat. Yeah.
Right.
If we're out and we happen to go to a cafe, we eat whatever we want, no problem. But we don't bring it in the house. Okay. That includes like sugary drinks. We can bring fruit home and eat the fruit as a whole thing, not as juice. So that's like a kind of a rule we have, and I think that's a good rule. You can still go and eat whatever you want if you happen to be outside, but of course you don't happen to be out that much and all of that, so that helps. Then I was thinking, okay, if I'm cool in that sense, where could sugar come from? Okay, you've got your rice and bread and all that. I think I'm not too bad on that, but I do have coffee twice a day and I put sugar in it. So I thought in Ramadan, I've got the rule of no bringing sweet stuff in the house. And the second thing I might do is replace sugar with stevia.
Yeah. I've been doing that, yeah.
So apparently stevia is like pretty quote unquote natural. Yeah. Even though I just said that word's not good. But yeah, it's expensive, but then at the same time, it's also very sweet. So you don't need much of it. So I might try that actually. So just replacing the coffee sugar with stevia. And I don't know about, I'm pretty much having one meal a day in Ramadan. So I'm not going to be having much carbs. I was even talking to my wife about, okay, in 7 days, you know, we potentially, we only have like one proper meal a day, right? In terms of, I eat 3 times a day, but the actual meal is one, right? So,
yeah.
So in 7 dinners, 7 meals, we should probably aim for like 2 or 3 max of those to be something like pasta or rice, or, you know, like as a goal. I don't know where we're at right now. But anyway, that I thought that was a decent thing to try in Ramadan anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's a useful thing to try for yourself. I think the best thing about it all, to be honest, is like Muslims, we have this thing where it's like, you know, it's a bit of a silly mindset, but it's like, okay, all of these things are haram, but that food is like the halal thing that we can do, right? There's a few foods that we can't eat, so we'll just go crazy with food. And I think I've seen that kind of slip into the Muslim mindset. And I do think that, you know, having rules, doesn't matter what it is, whether it's keto, whether it's I'm only going to eat this on this day, or I'm only going to have a takeaway, you know, once a month, or whatever it is. I think any sort of discipline when it comes to food, I think is beneficial. It doesn't matter what it is you do.
Yeah.
You know, different things will be different for different reasons, whether it's weight loss, whether it's building muscle, whether it's whatever. But if you have some sort of rules for yourself in discipline of food, I think it's a great barrier to stop you from like getting into the dunya, getting to sort of, because all of it is pleasures, isn't it?
Yeah. And these days it's like the common man's desires, way of following his desires is, you know, how cheap are these sweet things and stuff, you know?
Yeah,
it's like
absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, you know, the Sufis, if you like, they would, you know, they're very much right about these things, right? Like the stomach and what's between your legs. Like you gotta restrict them. Even, you know, like this is what I think it's in Imam al-Ghazali's book, where he's got like basically the desires that you need to break. You need to take control over them rather than them controlling you. And I think that the top 1 and 2 is the eating and like what's between your legs, but then there's also sleep and all these different things. So definitely, bro. And obviously that's from the Sunnah, we know that.
Absolutely.
Going back to sugar, actually, this is another health related topic that's interesting. I got actually my blood, they call it blood work. I did my blood work, bro. Yeah. Sounds like a Joe Rogan thing or something like that. So I got all the blood tests done. Something I wanted to do for years, and I just didn't really know how to get it done. And then I heard about there's a guy, yeah. You know, like when you're in Turkey, I guess it's like this for all like immigrant kind of communities. It's just like, you know, an Arab guy who does this or that, and it's like, you know, when you hear he's Arab, it's like, yes, I can communicate with him. And so he actually comes to the house, he takes your blood, and he goes and does the tests on it. He sends you the report, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So so I got that done, and a few interesting things. So I was interested in the sugar, so I got the hemoglobin. I think that's what the test is, for the sugar levels. One of them was slightly elevated, but when I asked about that, they said that's not necessarily to do with your consumption of sugar. It's just could be a seasonal thing that goes up and down. So whatever, it's cool. All my others were like within the normal range. The vitamin D, because I've been taking supplements, was too high. Like, even though most people are deficient in vitamin D, but I've been taking like high dose vitamin D for about 5-6 months, and so it was slightly high actually. So that was good, and it let me know that the supplement actually does work.
Did he say there was an issue with having it too high though?
No. So the normal range, I believe, was between 30 and 80. Right. I was 86. Okay.
Right. Okay.
And it said toxicity is 150, so I was still far away from being like overdose on vitamin D. But most people deficient, so it's good to know like you're within the range. And like some other family members, they also did the test, and they were of course deficient. Like everyone's deficient. You know, if you're not taking supplement, you're pretty much definitely deficient in vitamin D. So I was taking like a high dose, like 60,000 IUs a week. And
I think I've got a 40,000 thing which I've been taking.
Well, I was taking 20,000 3 times a week. So that's how I was doing. And most of them if you go to the shop pharmacy, you're going to see the packs with just 1,000 or 600 or 800. This is what you see. But you, especially if you're a normal person, you've been deficient for most of your life. You need to actually kind of bulk. You need to do like a bulking kind of thing first to get to not being deficient. So that was my thinking. And so now I'm gone down to like 20,000 a week. So I just take 1 a week. But what I found, like, what's her name? Dr. Rhonda Patrick. She was talking about this in different places, one of them being on with Joe Rogan. And she said 4,000 a day is good. So 4,000 times 7 is 28, right? 28,000 a week kind of thing.
I mean 40. I meant 4,000. I think that's what my my thing has on it. I'm trying to think what is in it. Is it fish? Isn't it? Yeah, a lot of fish.
But vitamin D mostly comes from sun exposure, really.
Is it? Because every time I look, it always comes up with fish and cheese.
Really, but it's still probably negligible amounts.
Here we go.
Even though they might be the highest. But...
Yeah, dude, this is like just keto. Sunlight, cod liver oil, caviar, mackerel, salmon, sardines, tuna, mushrooms, milk and eggs. You know,
fat, a lot of fat stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but I think a lot of us don't eat fish anyway.
Yes,
I think people,
and that goes back to what I was saying about we're just eating kind of pre-processed food. Like, you know, you've got always eating the boneless meat or the, you know, red, like, you know, the brown rice versus the white rice. The white rice is a lot just easier to just shovel down kind of thing. But fish, you know, it's got the bones, it's got the, you got to scale it, you got to, well, you don't have like, to, your fish guy
how much variety of meat is there? There's chicken, meat and lamb, right? Really? I'm trying to think of anything else.
Turkey.
I can't.
You don't really get it in England, but
yeah, but even turkey, like, I don't know if anyone's actually had, we're not talking about the process like turkey bacon and all that stuff, like just normal turkey. To me personally, not a fan. Absolutely not a fan. It's just got this. I don't like the taste.
Bro, I had turkey leg the other day.
Yeah.
It's kind of like it's edging towards being like lamb.
Yeah, it's just odd. And like ever since, like, you know, not finding out, whatever, believe it or not, evolution is your choice. But like these are like the ancestors of these are like the descendants of dinosaurs, you know, whatever.
Yeah, they are like that.
Birds, and I'm just like, wow, this makes me feel weird.
I mean, in Turkey, it's quite available around. Like people do eat it, and it's like half the price of lamb, and it kind of tastes like lamb. So.
Well, this is it. But like, if you think of the ocean, bro, think of all the varieties of fish.
Yes.
And like, you know, the other day, like, okay, two very easy fish to cook is like mackerel, and what I had today was a red mullet. They taste completely different to each other. They really do.
Yeah.
And you can't really describe it. And it's just, bro, I was so satisfied after I had that red mullet.
Bro, mackerel's full of fat, isn't it? It's very fatty.
Yeah,
right?
mackerel. Yeah. Mackerel's so popular down here.
It'll
down
fill
south.
you up a lot. Yeah.
I used to go fishing occasionally down here, and like out in the ocean, and they used to have multiple hooks on the line, right?
Yeah.
And I remember one time, like, I picked up like one sort of reel in of 6 mackerel on one line.
Wow.
And it just shows you how populous, I guess, they are here. So yeah, it's a common one to go to. You can get quite a nice sized one. So when I made it last time, I bought 3 mackerel, thinking, you know what? Me, my wife, my 2 kids, that should be enough. One of them can, you know, the kids can share one. I'll have a whole one. My wife have a whole one. Bro, I swear to God, we couldn't even have more than one together. Just one fish all together. We didn't even finish it. So I took the other 2 to my family. So that's 3 of them there. My mum and my sisters. And then I ended up having to eat with them 2 fish together. Like, so there's barakah in it as well. Like, you do something like that.
Those were the fish you caught?
No, I didn't catch these ones.
Okay.
But I have been trying to go fishing again. I'd love to. I think fishing is one of those things where you really need a mentor. You know, I would love to have like a mentor that I could be like, that takes me with them, because the fishing stuff that I have done, it's been on one of those like almost like a touristic thing where you go, they provide the rod, they provide the boat, obviously, that takes you out there, they provide the bait, they provide everything. You just stick your hands out and you wait. You know, and I want to learn the whole thing.
That's not the full benefit.
Yeah, I want to know how to, you know, sort a rod out, know how to get bait, all of that sort of stuff. It is, you know, you can watch YouTube videos and stuff, but without having someone sitting there next to you, when you mess up your rod and you get the line all twisted and caught, and who do you go to then? You can't just look up on YouTube because you've got a specific problem here, you know. So I really would love like a mentor to go with all the time until I know what I'm doing.
Similarly, I've been thinking about horse riding. I feel like it's kind of similar thing in a way.
Yeah, you could go to like a fancy like place, learn horse riding here kind of thing, but it'll probably cost you an arm and a leg, and you're not going to be able to go as much as you'd like to because it's going to be very expensive. But if you had like a friend that has a horse, think how much you could go. Think how much you could be taught by that person. It reminds me of a lot of things, a lot of learning, a lot of practical learning is that way.
There's a sheikh out here. He teaches Quran, and apparently he's got like I don't know what it is, a stable or something, and he would be open to us going and learning and stuff. So in Turkey, it shouldn't be expensive, inshallah. Like I know in UK, UAE as well, it's expensive.
Yeah,
but inshallah, it's not too much here. So I think I should do it, bro. I should do it.
Why not?
Yeah,
I think something like that is cool. I mean,
like a couple times a month kind of thing.
It's a cool little project to set for yourself. I know it's not a huge thing, but I am like really trying to just be more, I'm not trying to cook fancy meals or stuff. I just really, really want to learn how to cook loads of fish, different fish. Like my next one, I want to do like a red snapper. I saw red snappers I almost went for it today. If anyone checked my Instagram, they would have seen massive red fish.
Yeah.
But I do want to like do octopus. I cooked octopus last time actually with the mackerel. It's just, I think it's mainly because my dad absolutely loved fish, really loved it. It was a traditional thing for him.
But he's not
Monday.
even from the coast, right?
No, but like, I don't know, I guess North Africa, he spent a lot of time on beaches and stuff, and he was very aware of how beneficial fish was. And we had fishmongers, I suppose, in I think meat has always traditionally been very expensive, and fish wasn't as expensive. Yeah. So people would naturally go try and get their protein from fish.
Yeah. If you're near the coast or something.
Yeah. Think about the abundance. Okay. Think of these societies that aren't too far from the coast or are on the coast. Yeah. How much time, energy, effort would it go to raising a cow or a sheep? Right. It was a lot. It takes a long time. So it's quite an event.
Yes.
But most people to have meat, they might have a chicken, but then again, if you kill a chicken, you've lost a chicken. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be your chicken. I'm talking about the stuff that we rear. But if you go to the ocean, especially back in those days, it was almost like an infinite food source. Yes, wow. Like you're always bound to get fish, right? Yes. So people relied on fish a lot, and I think that is saying something. And I'll be honest, like it's fascinating because fish is mentioned in the Quran, and I had this thought the other day, subhanAllah, about the Quran and about fish, because fish is mentioned. How Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to paraphrase, mentions that he granted humans soft meat in fish, and he describes it as soft, right? Yeah. And I was cooking the fish, I was eating it, and I was like, do you know what? I found it fascinating. I know it's a bit of a tangent, but I found it so fascinating that when Allah uses an adjective, it's the thing he describes is usually the greatest example of that adjective, right? So when I eat fish, I'm not thinking, oh, this is a bit chewy. It's not 100% soft, Or
is it tender? Is yours tender, bro?
Yeah, but like fish is so soft that even when you cook it, if you were to just push a piece of the fish, it will slide off another. It will it itself separates.
Yes.
Have you found that so fascinating? It separates so much and it slides off, and suddenly you've got like these really even pieces of fish that slide off each other. And that's how soft it is.
Even sometimes the way the bones are structured, it's like it's made to eat.
It's absolutely. So that's what fascinates me, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that fish is soft. Okay. Now, if I said something is soft, you could pick it up and be like, oh, it's not that soft. You could disagree with me.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's room for disagreement there, because I'm a human being describing something. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes something, whenever he gives an adjective to something, it is that thing 100%. And that's why, yes. Yeah. And that's why I when I think of that, and I know it's a weird tangent, but I always draw parallels. Allah said that this fish is soft, and look how soft it is.
And Allah knows what Jannah's like.
Exactly. So when Allah says, about something that is azim, a great day or the day of judgment, then I'm like, oh my God, there's no doubt about it. Nobody's going to be on that day thinking, oh, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Oh, I can handle it. Do you know what I mean? No, every single person is going to fully agree with that adjective.
Al-Azim says it's Yawmun Azim.
Absolutely.
Wow.
Because how many times, Akhi, do we use an adjective in the dunya and someone will disagree with it? Right, that's a really nice car. Oh, that's not that nice. Oh, that's a massive building. Oh, I've seen bigger. That mountain is huge. Oh, I've climbed bigger than that. No, you should see there's always going to be someone that disagrees with an adjective that you choose. But when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describes something, nobody's going to disagree. Everyone's going to agree that thing is that thing. So yeah. That's just a side point. But
you're right,
I think
fish is slept on. But what's the pricing like of fish, like compared to lamb and chicken over there?
Well, it can be pricey. I mean, that red mullet, I got one red mullet, so
Yeah.
one whole fish, which was about, I don't
Is
know
it
how
1
big.
kilo? More than a kilo.
I don't know, but
Mm.
I threw the sticker away. But I know that fish was about £7, 60 something, which is quite pricey, So it's got to be something
Chicken
that,
is like what, £7 a kilo.
yeah. And I think you can get a meal's worth of chicken for like £3 or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
that's
yeah,
because it's obviously factory farmed right to there.
yeah. I mean, what I would ultimately love, and I think it's impossible on keto, is to like have way more meals that aren't reliant on meat and fish and stuff. And like I used to do full medemus quite a lot. I
Is
used to
that
do a lot.
allowed? That's not keto,
No,
bro.
no, no, not on keto. This is a
Oh,
pre-keto.
okay, yeah.
Like when I wanted to do like something without, my mum would make lentils a lot.
Yeah.
Sometimes she started
Chickpeas,
mixing
lentils,
lentils.
beans,
Yeah,
all of
that
that.
kind of stuff.
That's good
Yeah,
food. That's home food, bro.
yeah,
That's
absolutely.
soul food.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
those are things you can have without meat and without
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
all the added stuff. Subhanallah.
Yeah.
So yeah, man, I think like going back to what we said, the lesson out of this episode at least is, it's really easy. Let's say money wasn't the issue. You had all the money that you needed. How easy would it be to just get a takeaway every day? Because you could say, "Oh, today I feel like Mexican food. Today I feel like Japanese food. Today I feel like," and you could literally just be eating out every day, and then having takeaways whenever. Because who would want to just walk around and cook? It's quite laborious. You might not get it right, and like you're hungry, you might not get it right, and at the end
Risk.
it might not taste that great, and you kind of waste all that time. When you can order something and it's guaranteed, or you could go and eat out and it's guaranteed. So, and I think having a bit of discipline, and obviously I mean, I was in London recently with some brothers. I don't know these brothers. I knew one of them, but he introduced me to a lot of them. We were talking about places to eat. I personally wanted to go to like maybe a Turkish place, because at least then I can have like a mixed grill with salad, which is what my go-to takeaway is if I have to be out and have something out. Very simple. Meat, salad, I'm good to go. And eventually they kind of settled on an Afghan place, which is great. I love
That's
Afghan
good.
food. Yeah, I love
But
Afghan
it's
food.
not like keto, right?
No, but I could have requested something specific. And then, to be honest, we all sat down, they arranged the tables, and then all these brothers got up and changed their mind. I felt so bad. I was like, I left the brothers at this point. I didn't know them, and I felt really uncomfortable that had happened. But I saw them. When they got up, they went straight to a burger shop opposite, and that's what they wanted to eat. And it's always these burger shops that are absolutely packed with young acts, and it's the thing to do, it's the place to go. And I'm not saying don't eat that kind of food, but I think, like I said initially, the food scenario is one where Muslims don't set limits for themselves, because they think, well, it's halal, so I should eat. I'm not drinking, I'm not clubbing, I'm not smoking, I'm not doing all these sort of things. But food is that one last thing that everyone can agree is great.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and say, oh, that one last halal thing, put some limits on it. But no, I definitely think there's benefit to. And the Prophet ﷺ's Sunnah showed that. Eat, and whatever works for you, whether it's keto, whether it's, intermittent fasting, whether it's, I mean, I haven't tried the carnivore diet, but all of these things make you conscious of what you're eating. And I think that is the byproduct, and that's the benefit. The beneficial byproduct is you suddenly being conscious of what's going on. And I think that's drawing any sort of consciousness onto any activity that you do, I think, is where the benefit is. Like screen time, for example, as an example, you could say watching, I don't know, let's say lectures, I don't know. Watching lectures on TV is perfectly fine. And you could sit there and do that all day long, every day. And then you'll start seeing negatives. But if you were to consciously think, okay, I'm only going to have like an hour screen time a day, then you're conscious of it, and then you're going to have barakah to do other things, right? And I'm sure you agree with me on that.
Yeah. Ultimately, bro, like, I mean, a lot of the time, or for everyone maybe, this life is about delayed gratification, And it's like, we know that after this life, inshallah, is better, right? But you got to delay that for that time. I was just looking up this quote because I wanted to know who said it, right? So I'm just going to read this. I don't know if this is the exact quote, but it is on sunnah.com, but I don't know if it's the one I'm looking for. So it says, Yahya related to me from Malik, from Yahya bin Sa'id, that Umar bin Khattab said, beware of meat, it has addictiveness, like the addictiveness of wine. Right? And then it said also that he saw Jabir bin Abdullah carrying some meat. Oh yeah, this was it. Yeah, Umar bin Khattab said it. So he saw Jabir bin Abdullah carrying some meat. And he said to him, this is Umar bin Khattab, he said, what is this? He said, oh, Amir al-Mu'mineen, we desired meat, we wanted meat, and so I bought some meat for a dirham. And then Umar said, does one of you want to fill his belly apart from his neighbor or nephew? How could you overlook this ayah? And then he read the ayah, أذهبتم طيبتكم في حياتكم الدنيا واستمتعتم بها. Yeah. So this is not this ayah means you squandered your good things in the life of this world and sought comfort in them. Yeah. So obviously it's not like tahrim, it's not like making it haram, but I'm just wanted to share this because someone like Umar bin Khattab, he saw a little bit of a deeper level where it's like this ayah, you squandered your good things in the life of this world and you sought comfort in them, right? Or I thought istamta'tum biha would mean more like you enjoyed them. But anyway, he made that connection to meat, to just like buying meat, right? And I think because in the Arabic, it's like, I think there's another narration or another event happened where Umar ibn Khattab saw someone and he said, what's this that you got? And he said, I wanted meat, so I bought meat. And then he said to him, is everything that you want you just buy?
Yeah, I get you.
Yeah. That's like a kind of a well-known quote as well. And so it's like this concept, even though it's halal, of yeah, I want it, I buy it. I want it, I buy it. I want it, I buy it.
Yeah, and also there's a contextual element there. Like we don't know what meat was like in that time. How was it perceived? You know, that we always hear about certain times in that seerah, the early Islamic seerah, that there were times when meat was really expensive and meat was a rare thing to have, right? So if that was a contextual time where meat did mean something, that this is an event, somebody's bought meat whenever they wanted, then it fits as well in regards to you just buy whatever you want sort of thing. And you know, it reminds me of the whole takeaway thing that my family used to have. Like I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but like my family, my mum and my dad and stuff, takeaways were a rare thing at one point. And then when we did have it, it was an event. And then suddenly when I started living on my own, it was like takeaways all the time. You know, when I got a bit more independent, it was like, I'll just eat out, and eating out became the norm. So yeah, whether it's wasting money, whether it's wasting your health, I just think just be conscious. I'm enjoying doing it. I do like to do it. You know,
you feel good, right? You feel good that you're like, I've got some discipline. You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I like to know that things don't have a control over me. You know. But I think the skills I'm learning, like I'm adding new things in there that I've never cooked before. And I'm not talking about, I'm still not too keen on like following recipes and stuff. I don't really do that. I've never really looked at a recipe and thought, okay, I need to do this, and I don't like that. You know, I've always watched my dad just do something. You know, he just cooks it. He'd be like, okay, this will go. I'm more of that kind of guy, right? My wife will sometimes follow a recipe and then she'll memorize it and she'll know what to do. I like to kind of figure it out. So that's why I don't really make any complicated stuff. Like I've never baked anything that I can remember.
I'm mostly like a recipe guy. Like, well,
Really?
I've done enough recipes, so then I learn the way of cooking in that way.
Right.
So then I can do what I want kind of thing. But I do like recipes because I'm just like a robot and it just like run the program, run the code.
Well, I used to bond a lot with my mum in the kitchen. My mum would always be in the kitchen. I'd always be sat with her. When I took that fish over to her, she probably listened to this, but I remember her saying when I took the fish over to her, she goes, how did you learn to cook this? I was like, Mum, you used to cook this all the time. So I just watched you cook it. Do you know what I mean?
I mean, you know, funnily enough, fish is one of the easiest things to cook.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of people are intimidated.
Obviously, you get the fishmonger to scale it, clean it, and just fillet it or whatever, just cut it in half, kind of thing, and you're good.
I mean, he asked me if I want it cleaned, and I generally do. All they do for me is take the guts out and scale it. And you know, the next stage for me, really, you know, I came across a YouTube video actually that was like how to gut or how to clean 100 fish, and it was just really quickly like showing you each type of fish and how to clean it.
Oh,
and how
100
to
different
fillet it.
types. Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
and it was really cool. I found that so fascinating, and I was like, okay, that's what I want to learn next. Like, I don't want to ask the fishmonger. So when I'm a bit more confident, inshallah, I'll go back to the start. So I'll get the mackerel again, and then I'll be like, okay, I'll have it whole, please, and then I'll figure out. You know, I might try and get a nice set of knives and learn, because, you know, I really do, and I really do have a passion for fishing, despite hardly ever doing it. I know it's crazy to have a passion for something that you've never done, but I really, really do. And a byproduct of that is I love eating fish. So, yeah, I think it'd be a good sort of. I think it's, you know, there's benefit in it, and I think everybody's got stuff like that they can do. Like horse riding, for example. You might want to get involved in horse riding, but actually, in the meantime, why not learn as much as you can about horses? Why not learn as much as you can about, you know, how to take care of them, what to do with them? Do you know what I mean? All sorts of stuff. And it's not just the fun part, is it? Like all these things that we say, like look at archery. A lot of brothers say, "Oh, we should learn archery. We should learn sword fighting." Okay, well, how is a bow and arrow made? Like, how is an arrow made? How is it? Go break things down to their pieces, because you want to be a master of that thing. You want to know as much about it. You want to actually be an absolute professional and a go-to for it. And ultimately, it's about self-reliance and not relying on anybody. You want to get to a point where you're not relying on anybody. So going back to the fisherman thing, I don't want to go fishing and then get the fish and hand it over to my mum like I used to do. That's what I did. I would go, some guy would take me out on a boat. He would give me his rod. He'd give me the bait. All I would do is put my hands down and pick them up. Oh, I got a fish. Go home with that fish and give it to my mum. Here, mum, can you cook this, please? Yeah. You know, I haven't done much there. I haven't achieved anything. So actually, no, I want to learn how to do the all that stuff with the rods and the bait and all of that stuff. Where to go, where to fish. Grab that fish. Go home. Know how to gut it. Know how to clean it. Know how to cook it and serve it to my family. And I think as a child looking at that, you'd be like, wow, Dad used to do all of this. You know, that's phenomenal.
Sounds like you're having a pre-midlife crisis.
Why not, bro? My wife said she found 5 white hairs in my head yesterday, so I'll go for it.
I got more than that. Yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, I know I've got more, but these were 5 new ones.
You know, I don't see them unless I let my hair grow out. So I only know how many I've got when I like skip a lot of haircuts.
Bro, we should do a mind heist hair growth competition. Maybe like I can't do it now.
I'm afraid I can't. Look, according to your, youth pictures, you've got good potential for growing your hair. You got the nice afro.
Yeah, but the in between of that was awful. You know.
Okay. Yes.
Between now and then,
I only ever get to the mid part. Like, my hair's not straight or fully curly, so I don't know what it is. It's awkward.
My hair's very similar. Remember when Muhammad Hijab grew his hair? It's quite similar to that.
Yeah, it would be good.
It would take a long time.
Yeah, it would. Yeah.
But we'll see. We'll see. I mean,
I want to end this episode on this point, right? This point of, like, you said, like, you were saying Dr. Berg. People say he's not a doctor and this and this and that. But then you said food, nutrition. It's kind of universal. It's kind of simple.
Yeah.
Wallahi, look, there's a lot of ways to skin a cat, but I think whenever I've discussed keto, carnivore diet, this, vegan, this and that, it always, like, one day I was just like, what is the Prophet ﷺ diet? And, like, I think what I've come to the conclusion of, the Prophet ﷺ's diet is just don't eat much at all in general. Like, just don't eat much. That's pretty much it. That kind of encapsulates, like, intermittent fasting, maybe keto, like, elements of keto, and that, like, there's no doubt in my mind, like, when we talk about cancer and heart disease and this and this and this and that, a lot of it would be solved with not eating much, eating much.
And ultimately, also, the universal thing with all these diets is the avoidance of, or knowing what you're eating, like, just knowing, like, holding something in your hand, and I'm going to eat this, and everything that's in that. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Yes. Like, if you go to get a burger from McDonald's, can you, hand on your heart, so to speak, be like, okay, I know everything that's in it? Well, you don't really.
Well, the bread probably has like 30 ingredients.
Yeah. Like, I remember I was shocked when they were speaking about Subway in America, and they were saying how, like, the bread of Subway was classed as a cake in certain countries because of the sugar content in that bread. There's so many things that you think but you don't. Whilst if you're, Prophet ﷺ, I am sure, would, whatever he would have eaten, he would have known, okay, that is that. You know, it hasn't gone through this crazy process.
Good old
Allah
days,
knows
bro.
best.
Good old days,
Yeah,
bro.
good old days.
No
so, like
E
today's
numbers.
meal, bro.
Yeah.
I knew that this fish was a fish, and I knew the tomatoes next to them were tomatoes.
Yeah,
you know?
and you knew your fish has a bit of microplastics in it, and boom.
Well, you know, that's
it.
unavoidable. That's unavoidable.
That's life.
Bro.
But you got a 3-ingredient meal, nice and simple.
Microplastic, bro. I could do a whole episode on that, on my feelings of microplastics, but we'll leave that for another day.
Yeah. But ultimately, bro, like the Prophet ﷺ said, like he kind of told us the thing, right? Which is, we've got a lot of actually. I'm sure like there'll be like some sort of chapter in a book of hadith about like the Prophet ***'s manners in eating, you know, in terms of eating slowly, chewing a lot, starting with Bismillah, starting with the dua, you know, Allahumma barik lana, not eating much. You know, Prophet **** said, eat only enough to keep your back straight, right? And then if you can't handle that, then have 1/3 food, 1/3 drink, and 1/3 empty. So it's literally don't eat much. So if you can hack it, like literally it might be something like 1 meal a day, kind of like what you're doing, 1 meal a day. And then that 1 meal, I mean, even if you had like biryani, it probably would be all right. But, you know, ideally you can mix it up and try and go for things maybe that, this is now, I'm not saying this is sunnah now, but like go for things where you don't have to read a list of ingredients on the pack. It's just like good pasta would just be like wheat and I don't know, maybe egg and like you know, not many ingredients, right? So yeah, just don't eat much, and that would help. Apparently, you know, it would help with cancer, because cancer feeds off lots of glucose and stuff going into you. It would help with diabetes, avoiding diabetes, because how much sugar can you get in one meal, etc., etc. So, and it's true, even if we don't feel the pains of it now in our youth, or even later, even in midlife, our body still has an amana on us when we're 18 and when we're 78. You know, still have the amana. So yeah.
Food heist.
Bro, I was sick of some of these topics. Like, honestly, the hijrah topic, the flipping, I don't know. We talked about stocks quite a lot, like, but this is fresh.
I feel like we haven't spoken about food specifically. We spoke about health and stuff before. We've got a lot of emails. We apologize. We always say, every episode we say, we should check some emails, and we never do.
I actually feel like we don't have a ton of emails.
I feel like I haven't looked at it, but last time I did, I remember it was like, there's a lot of unread emails here. But then again, we've combined it with our YouTube stuff, so we're getting a lot of emails.
Yeah,
and comments.
Sure.
Subscribe. I've got it set to every time we get a subscriber, we get emailed, so that's jamming it up. So I need to sort that out. But you know, let me sign off today. If you want to follow us, you can follow us on mindheistpodcast.com. On there's a link to support the podcast, and you can also email us at mindheistpod@gmail.com. Curious Cat, I think, is down. I think the whole website is down, and it has been. Let me just double click. Yep, 404 not found. So it looks like they ran out of money. So if you want to send us an anonymous question, you're gonna have to make a fake email or something like that. You can actually hit me up on Instagram and Twitter and stuff if you want to DM or whatever it is. Ameen is a little bit harder to reach. Specifically, somebody did.
I checked the email
me earlier. Yeah, somebody knows specifically asked you something, Yanni.
Okay.
Because somebody messaged me earlier, and I gave them your email address. Only because you gave me permission to do so last time, so that's why I'm doing it again. But I think that's it. That's all we have time for. And I feel like there was something else I wanted to add, but I'm not going to. Turkey is a nice place, I'm sure. I mean, not thinking of leaving anytime soon. No, good. All
just
right,
renewed my visa.
Expect another Turkey Hijrah episode in 3 months. Allah. All right, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdik, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.